I always felt a shiver down my spine whenever someone mentioned ghosts. Maybe it was the old wives' tales my grandma used to tell. Maybe it was the way the wind howled outside my window on stormy nights. Whatever it was, the supernatural always fascinated and terrified me. I never really believed in ghosts, not truly. Not until that night. The night at the old temple. The night I saw something I couldn't explain. Summer break, freedom from school, 2 glorious months at my grandma's place in the countryside. I loved it there. The fresh air, the open fields, and the company of my childhood friends, Nod and King. Nod, always the adventurous one, was full of crazy ideas. King, more cautious, usually ended up going along with Nod's schemes. And me, I was somewhere in between, easily swayed by Nod's enthusiasm. One particularly humid evening, Nod suggested we visit the old temple on the hill. The air was thick with moisture, making every breath feel heavy. As we walked, the sky darkened, casting an eerie shadow over the landscape. The path to the temple was steep and winding, surrounded by dense foliage that seemed to whisper secrets of the past. The closer we got, the more palpable the sense of mystery became. It was as if the very air around us was charged with anticipation. The temple itself was a local legend, said to be haunted by spirits of the past. Its weathered stones and ancient carvings told stories of a time long forgotten. Under the moonlight, the temple took on an almost otherworldly glow, its shadows dancing in the night. The tales of hauntings and ghostly apparitions only added to its allure, drawing curious souls like us to its gates. We had heard countless stories from the elders, each one more chilling than the last. Every year, there was a grand festival at the temple, a celebration that brought the entire community together. The temple would be adorned with colorful flags and lights, transforming it into a beacon of joy and festivity. The festival was a time of music, dance, and merriment, a stark contrast to the temple's usual eerie ambiance. It was a tradition that had been passed down through generations, a way to honor the spirits and seek their blessings for the year ahead. This year, we were finally old enough to go. The excitement was palpable among our group of friends. We had heard so much about the festival, and now we were about to experience it firsthand. As we made our way towards the temple, the sounds of laughter and music grew louder, filling us with a sense of anticipation. It felt like a rite of passage, a moment we had been waiting for all our lives. The air buzzed with excitement as we approached the temple. The path was lined with lanterns, casting a warm glow on the faces of the people around us. Everyone seemed to be in high spirits, their faces lit up with smiles and laughter. The closer we got, the more the energy of the crowd seemed to envelop us, pulling us into the heart of the celebration. It was a night we would never forget. People thronged the courtyard, their chatter a dull roar that filled the night. The temple courtyard was a sea of faces, each one reflecting the joy and excitement of the festival. Children ran around, their laughter echoing through the night, while elders sat in groups sharing stories and memories. The atmosphere was electric, a perfect blend of tradition and celebration. It was a sight to behold, a testament to the community's spirit and unity. The aroma of incense and street food filled the air, creating a sensory experience that was both familiar and enchanting. Stalls lined the courtyard, offering a variety of delicacies that tempted our taste buds. The scent of freshly cooked food mingled with the sweet fragrance of incense, creating a heady mix that was impossible to resist. It was a feast for the senses, a celebration of both the spiritual and the earthly. The atmosphere was festive, but there was an underlying current of something else, something ancient and unknown. Amidst the laughter and celebration, there was a sense of reverence, a recognition of the temple's storied past. It was as if the spirits of the past were watching over us, their presence felt in the very air we breathed. The festival was not just a celebration, but a bridge between the past and the present, a reminder of the temple's enduring legacy. Nod, being Nod, saw an opportunity for mischief. He dared us to sneak into the inner sanctum of the temple and steal a coin from the offering plate. He said it would prove our bravery. King was hesitant, but Nod's taunts got the better of him. I foolishly agreed. We waited until the crowd thinned, then slipped through a side entrance. The air inside was heavy with incense, and the silence was unnerving. The inner sanctum was dimly lit by oil lamps, Shadows danced on the walls as we crept towards the altar. The air grew colder, and I could hear the faint echo of whispers, though we were alone. My heart pounded in my chest. I wanted to turn back. This was a bad idea. But Nod was already at the altar, reaching for the offering plate. Section 6. A Face in the Shadows. The night was thick with an unsettling silence, the kind that makes your skin crawl and your heart race. We had ventured into the old mansion, a place long abandoned and shrouded in mystery. The air was heavy with the scent of decay and the whispers of forgotten memories. Suddenly, a cough echoed through the chamber. We froze. The sound was unexpected, jarring in the oppressive silence. It was as if the walls themselves had come alive, breathing and watching us. We exchanged nervous glances, our breaths shallow and quick. The darkness seemed to close in around us, thick and suffocating. A figure emerged from the shadows, his eyes glowing in the dim light. It was a sight that sent shivers down our spines. The figure moved with an eerie grace, almost floating rather than walking. His presence was both mesmerizing and terrifying, a ghostly apparition in the gloom. He was tall and gaunt, with a face that seemed etched with centuries of sorrow. His features were sharp and angular, casting deep shadows that made him look even more otherworldly. His eyes, though glowing, were filled with a profound sadness, as if he had witnessed countless tragedies over the ages. He didn't speak, but his eyes held a depth of sadness that chilled me to the bone. It was a sadness that seemed to reach out and touch my very soul, a sorrow so deep and ancient that it felt almost tangible. I could feel the weight of his grief pressing down on me, making it hard to breathe. And then I saw it. A realization dawned on me. A horrifying truth that made my blood run cold. My eyes widened in shock as I took in the full extent of what I was seeing. It was a moment of clarity, a moment when everything fell into place and the true horror of the situation became apparent. In his hands, he held a blood-stained cloth, the crimson stains stark against the pale fabric. The sight of it was both horrifying and mesmerizing, a gruesome reminder of the violence that had taken place. The cloth seemed to pulse with a life of its own, as if it were a living entity, feeding off the fear and dread in the room. And something that made my stomach clench, a human hand. The severed hand was a grotesque sight, its fingers curled in a final, desperate grasp. It was a macabre trophy, a chilling testament to the horrors that had unfolded in this forsaken place. The sight of it filled me with a deep, primal fear, a fear that I knew I would never be able to shake. Section 7. Flight into the night. Terror lent us speed we never knew we possessed. We didn't say a word, didn't look back. We just ran. We ran until our lungs burned, and our legs screamed for mercy. The sounds of the festival faded behind us. The night was alive with the sounds of insects and the distant rumble of thunder. We didn't stop until we reached the familiar safety of my grandma's house. Section 8. A mystery remains. We never told anyone what we saw that night. Who would believe us? The next day we went back to the temple, but everything seemed normal. The festive atmosphere, the crowds, the smell of incense. Had we imagined it all? The man, the hand, the sheer terror we felt? Or was there something truly sinister lurking beneath the surface of the festive celebrations? Section 9. Haunted by the memory. Years have passed, but the memory of that night still haunts me. It was a night unlike any other, shrouded in mystery and fear. The moon hung low in the sky, casting an eerie glow over everything. I remember sitting on the porch feeling a chill run down my spine as the shadows seemed to come alive. The air was thick with an unspoken dread, a sense that something was terribly wrong. The face in the shadows, the blood-stained cloth, the severed hand. These images are burned into my mind as vivid now as they were then. Each detail is etched into my memory, refusing to fade with time. The face was twisted in agony, a silent scream frozen in the darkness. The cloth, once white, was now a gruesome testament to the horror that had unfolded. And the hand, severed and lifeless, was a stark reminder of the violence that had occurred. I can still feel the echo of that primal fear, the kind that grips you and won't let go. It was a fear that went beyond the physical, reaching deep into my soul. My heart raced, my breath came in short gasps, and my mind was consumed by a single thought: survival. The terror was all-encompassing, leaving no room for rational thought or reason. The desperate urge to run, It was an instinctual response, a primal need to escape the danger that surrounded me. I remember the sound of my footsteps pounding against the ground, the branches tearing at my clothes as I fled through the forest. I didn't dare look back, knowing that whatever was behind me was far worse than anything I could imagine. The fear drove me forward, pushing me to my limits and beyond. I've never been able to shake the feeling that we stumbled upon something ancient and evil that night. It was as if we had uncovered a dark secret, something that was never meant to be found. The artifact we discovered was unlike anything I had ever seen, its surface covered in strange symbols and markings. It seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy, a silent warning to those who dared to disturb it. Something that lurks just beyond the veil of our reality, waiting for the opportune moment to reveal itself. I often wonder if it is still out there watching and waiting. The thought sends a shiver down my spine, a reminder that some things are better left undisturbed. The shadows seem to move of their own accord, and I can't shake the feeling that I'm being watched, waiting for the opportune moment to reveal itself. The memory of that night is a constant presence, a shadow that follows me wherever I go. It has become a part of me, a dark chapter in my life that I can never escape. I am haunted by the memory, a prisoner of my own mind, forever trapped in that moment of terror.